Hey friends, it's Tamara Bennett from Southern Adoornments Decor. I'm back again today with my friend Miss Sandy McQurter from the Painters Clubhouse. If you haven't been following along, we've been interviewing a new not a new clubhouse member, but we've been interviewing a Painters Clubhouse member every day for the last 8 days. And you're my final interview, Sandy.
The best for last? Oh, I can't say that. There's so many great ones in the Painters Clubhouse.
We'll just say the best for
consider
last.
myself still a newbie.
Miss Sandy feels like family at this point because I know her daughter Charity pretty well. How old is Charity now?
Charity's 15. She'll be 16 in the summer.
And then last fall, Charity came with you to Southern Adoornments Live, and she actually helped Sarah run our vendor booth. And so she's like an honorary Southern Adoornments team member at this point.
She's so excited for this year. She's like, do you think I might get help again?
Absolutely. We don't turn down good help, and she's already proven that she's willing to do whatever we need her to do. So I appreciate that.
She's a good kid. I can't complain.
Oh, you've definitely got a good one. And you are so sweet to us. You have gone live and taught a couple of times in the Painters Clubhouse over the years. Go ahead and just give us an introduction of like kind of where you got started. When did you start painting and where you're from and all those things?
Okay. Well, my name's Sandy McQurter. I have quilted treasures and more. And about the time that left my mouth, you're probably thinking, what does that have to do with door hangers? Quick rundown timeline, 2017, I asked a friend of mine, hey, can you help me figure things out on a sewing machine? I need to fix hems or zippers. She says, yeah, sure. First session at her house, she says, I'm going to teach you how to quilt. That's not what I wanted. And so anyway, long story short, by the end of the summer, I was in love with quilting. March of 2018, I started a little Facebook group, so my friends and family to keep up with my adventure of quilting and what I was doing. And then by 2020, of course, you know, we're all sitting at home and I'm scrolling through, and I live in Mobile, Alabama. So we're on the Gulf Coast, and, you know, that's kind of a bummer because you can't even go to the beach. So we're all scrolling through our social media posts and everything, and I run across you and you're painting, and I'm watching, and I'm like, man, she makes that look so easy. And that seems to be the general consensus of everybody who has run across you. So I kept watching, and I'll never forget, you know, we're all working from home, and I was fixing lunch, and I looked at my husband, Billy, and I said, can I get a jigsaw?
He's like, what? How are you going to use that?
His face had 5,001 questions, but he didn't say anything. He's like, I guess. But curiosity got the best of him. In a few minutes, he goes, why do you want a jigsaw? So you were doing a live at the time, and I showed him. I'm like, look, you see what she's doing? I think I could do that. So that happened in March. April, I got my jigsaw. I bought my very first template, which was the flip-flops, because I was like, this ought to be easy to do.
That's a really good starter one, yeah.
So we jumped off with the flip-flops. I sold my very first door hanger right after that. And you know, just kind of started cutting from there. But by June, it was funny because I ended up joining the template club because I was like, holy smokes, do you see how much money I spent in May on templates?
It was just a logical decision at that point.
It just made sense. I was like, man, we're going to save money if I do this. And my husband's going, okay. So I had found you in late March. So I missed the spring workshop, but I was around for the August workshop, which happened to be the Happy Fall, y'all, buffalo plaid with the pumpkins. And so I was around for that. And I can't remember if it was before or after I got the orders, but I ended up joining Painters Clubhouse at that point. And I've been here for 3.5 years. But I will say, I did do, as you suggested, I posted a picture of it on my Facebook page and just said, hey, look at my new adventure. And I had 6 orders in less than an hour, I believe.
Oh my goodness.
So it was crazy. And then all together that fall, I think I sold a grand total of 11.
Wow.
Of the Happy Fall, y'all buffalo plaid. And it is still one that if I show it around fall, I'll inevitably get an order for it.
Yep.
So I've been here a little over 3.5 years.
Yeah.
just hanging
And
out and learning all the different things. I will say my very first door hanger, which was the flip-flops, I had watched you use sponge pouncers. And so
uh-huh.
my very first door hanger, the flip-flops with polka dots.
Well, I hope it turned out good. But I love that just didn't even look back. You just turned like you immediately started selling them. And I think a lot of people are terrified to do that the first time.
But I like your approach of, hey, just post it. And a lot of times, even on my business page, I'll just post a door hanger. I won't even make a comment about it. I'll just post it.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes I'll get people sending me messages going, hey, do you have that one for sale? Or
These or
do you need
something?
extra colors? Or. So I always private message everybody. Again, that was been another tip from you. And so I try to keep that going. And because sometimes, there's customers that have been around for a while and you like to reward them for being a longtime customer. And so, and then there's some customers who want to chit chat about every color. And even though you like having comments on your post, 101 comments is a bit much.
It is. And the more you have to go back and forth with a customer over the details, the more you're like, oh, I should have charged more for this. Like it becomes a bit of a chore.
There are a few.
If you get some of those customers who are like, I trust you, you always make it turn beautiful. Those are your golden customers. You want to reward those for coming back for sure.
I just had one contact me for a wedding, and she said, I'm so sorry to be calling you late, but this has happened and this has happened and this is what we need. And what they needed was a simple initial, a W for the groom's table. And
Easy.
I'm like, yeah, I can help you with that.
You could whip that out in 30 minutes.
So, we did it, painted it a solid color, put it on a stand, and voila.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you have become the go-to person for people like that who need just some simple, quick little project that they need help with. I have kind of quit doing custom stuff over the years because I'm so busy in the online space now. But for years, I would have those repeat customers who would say, hey, I bought this rocking chair for my grandson. It's the most random requests. They'd say, I bought this rocking chair for my grandson. And he's going to be born in January, and I want to put his name on it, but I have terrible handwriting. Could you letter this on? What would you charge to letter? And I'm like, that sounds like that's an easy peasy order. I don't really have to even paint much. I just have to put a name on something, and I would just charge $5 or $10 sometimes. But it's kind of nice to have those quick, easy little orders.
Yeah, you like to hear when they come back and say, I just knew when they asked this, I need to call Miss Sandy.
Yep. And then you'll run into those people at the grocery store and they'll say, aren't you that door hanger lady or that painting lady?
Yes, I get, it's kind of funny because over the years, I've done a variety of different things as far as employment goes. So I worked in radio for a little while.
Really?
And I worked at an insurance company for a little while. And then I also was church secretary at my church for 15 and a half years. And so I run across people and they're like, you look so familiar. I'm going, well, you could have known me from here. You could have known me from here. So I end up spending a few minutes chit-chatting over where they may have known me from. But yeah, it's funny when you run into people and they're going, you look so familiar.
Or they probably, like you do Facebook Lives too. So they might have even seen you on a Facebook Live and not realized when you popped up in their feed that, you lived in their hometown.
Yeah, living along the Gulf Coast, it's funny because you get to meet, especially in the Painters Clubhouse, you get to meet people from all over. And so we'll be sitting like on our Zoom paint parties once a month. We'll be sitting there chit-chatting, and you've got one person who's in the north, and they're like, oh, man, it was 32 last night. And I'm going, yeah, it was 72 last night, and it's 85 today with a heat index of 101. And they're going, what?
It's like we live in different countries.
Exactly.
I have had to turn my heat back on twice in the last 2 days because it's dropped down to like 44 at night. And I wake up in the morning and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And I went and put my hoodie on today. I wore this last night while I was painting live, but I had just kicked the heat back on because I was fed up with my feet being cold. And then I'm sitting here painting, and all of a sudden I'm like, whew, it's getting warm. And it's because the heat was working. Well, then when I got off the live, I turned it off, went to bed. This morning I woke up and I'm like, it's 65 degrees in here again.
We haven't turned our heat on here. I actually was in East Tennessee last week. We had spring break, and so went to East Tennessee. And my dad lives in East Tennessee, and there's a little gift shop down the road from him. And I actually have some pieces that I put in there. So it was kind of a double trip. It was spring break, but it was also a business trip. I took some items up there to put in the little gift shop. So we were pretty good temps, pretty comfortable temps throughout the week. We did run the air conditioner maybe twice, which is odd because I've been running the air conditioner here in Mobile since February. So, so we did run the air conditioner a couple of times. But before we left, we actually were in where we had blankets over the bed. Didn't turn the heat on. I think my dad turned the heat on last night, though. But actually, he built a fire yesterday. It was funny. We left yesterday, headed back home. And I called him to let him know where we were at. And he said, yeah, I'm getting ready to build a fire. So.
Linda Helser, who lives up in New York, was here for Painters Clubhouse Live a couple weeks ago. She said, we had snow and ice chips on the grass this morning. I miss Kentucky. Well, it's 61 here right now, but I think it was about 44 or 50 when I woke up. So it's a little chilly compared to the 80-degree temps we had Monday through Thursday last week. So
she's one of our go-tos when we start talking about temperatures and weather. Linda, what's it like up there?
she's our northern weather reporter.
She hikes in the snow and she'll say, no, it was too cold today. We didn't go out.
Yep. Well, do you ever get to quilt anymore now that you're painting door hangers?
Actually, last August, I signed up and got into a vendor mall, and I have a booth inside the vendor mall. And so it's funny because you think through, oh, I'll put door hangers in there. And then you get in there and you're like, this is kind of like a mini retail shop. And I kind of need more than door hangers. So
you want to have a well-rounded booth where it's not only one item at one price point, right?
Yes.
So tell us more about that whole adventure. Can you walk us through how it got started? And
I am learning a lot with this adventure.
Yeah.
I actually I had been told about the little, well, it's not a little vendor mall. They've got about 40 vendors in there. And so I'd been told about this place a few times. It's actually, now I'm going to say this, a lot of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, a whole state over. It's actually in Mississippi. So I'm in Alabama, but at the very tip end of Alabama, you have two counties. And you're really close to Mississippi and Florida on either side of us. So it actually is only 30 minutes for me to drive to this little vendor mall. So I have some friends who go over there. They had told me about it and they're like, oh, you should get in over there. Well, they had posted on Facebook because I've started following their page and they said, we are looking for vendors. So started the process of chit-chatting back and forth with them. And they said, yeah, come on over. You can look around at we have a couple of available booths right now. So I went, I looked, I picked one. It already had pegboard up. I was like, yeah, it's just me. So I didn't have to do anything special. You'll see behind me, my grid walls. Those are what I take to craft fairs and festivals and stuff. So I was like, man, I don't have to give up my grid walls and not have them for festivals. So we moved in August 14th. I believe was my first official day in the vendor mall. And it's kind of crazy because you quickly learn that it's not like a craft fair or a festival in that while you go up and show up with all your door hangers, people are walking around and they're looking at the booths individually and they're like, oh, I've been wanting a door hanger, and they'll come over. In the vendor mall, a lot of times you've got people looking for gifts and just variety. And so I've been doing smaller pieces. So I have this one sitting right here. This one is 15 inches. And so I put it on a stand. It's the design of the door hanger, but it's just shrunk down.
Right.
And then I've also done some of the art and resin and glass pieces. put those in there. And here, I guess a couple of years ago, I actually dipped my toe in sublimation. And so I have some sublimation items that I put over there as well. So I've just been learning. It's been the art of learning how to have a retail store, brick and mortar store without having a brick and mortar store, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried sublimating on a door hanger yet?
I actually have sublimated on some 8x8 wood pieces that I got off of Amazon. So I actually have.
I think that could be really cool. And that could be something else that you could easily put in your booth with a very little effort compared to the hours that it takes or the time that it takes to paint a whole piece.
I actually have put in, I don't have any here because they're in the booth, but I actually have put in a few, and I've done and you're going to find it funny when I say this, but I've actually done a Brooke thing, talking about Brooke Riley.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see the picture or not, but I sublimated.
Oh, yeah.
And then I added the little twine bow.
That's cute. And you could sell that for a lower price point than something you've hand painted.
Yes. Yes. And I've hand painted a couple of them, and I've done, I did one with tissue paper. And so I learned that technique from Stacy Wilshire.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she was guest in the Clubhouse, she showed us about doing tissue paper. And I thought that was really cool. And of course, we've had Miss Tracy with the napkin art, and then Cindy Manley. She's been one of my big ones because I love doing the glass and resin. To me, that's just really cool. And I actually created a collection that kind of revolves around the glass and the resin. I call it the Broken Pieces Collection. And actually a portion of the sales from those pieces that are sold, I actually give to one of 3 organizations here in my area that help families who are broken.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that you're paying it forward.
So it's really cool. And I keep, it's so funny because the Quilted Treasures thing started with my quilting. And then when I started doing door hangers and stuff, of course, I just tacked on the and more to it.
Yeah.
And it really has become just more than the door hangers. And so but I still go back to my door hangers because that's where all my painting began. And no, I didn't do any painting beforehand.
So you were brand new to painting when you started with me.
Brand new to painting. Me and a couple of the big name websites were good friends the first part of the summer of 2020 because I was ordering brushes and paints and everything else.
That's hilarious. And you actually, okay, I want to rewind. In the interview, you asked your husband, what do you think if I bought a jigsaw? What did he say the day you were like, what do you think if we bought a laser? Because you all now have a laser machine. So that's way bigger than a jigsaw purchase.
Actually, he was the one who came up with the laser.
Really?
He was the one. He did all the research on lasers and CNC routers and everything. And so he was actually the one that came up with the laser idea.
Because he's like, oh, that's a toy for me that I can help her with.
Well, what it amounted to is that I was cutting, because the first summer after I got involved with it and started doing it in 2020, of course, we hit summer, like just within a few months. And so here we have heat indexes of 115, 117, 118. And so, I'd have to wait till late in the evening and try to get out and cut because it was just so hot, because you're standing there and you're cutting with the jigsaw and there's just, you're dripping all over your door hangers. So, I kind of tested how much blood, sweat, and tears does it take before MDF and plywood starts to separate.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot. I can honestly say that. But yeah, it was his idea for the laser. And so he came
still
up
cutting
with,
for you on it?
We got that one, and it was there were some learning challenges with it, and there was a lot of manual stuff that had to be done. Now we've got so many laser companies that are coming out with different things, desktop sizes and whatnot, and there's a whole world now that's just open. It's kind of like when in the days of vinyl, when you had the multiple companies for cutting vinyl. Now you have multiple companies for the laser stuff. And so research is the key to that, because you really need to find one that's going to suit your needs. Ours it did great in the beginning, but then as we started trying to do other things, you're looking at it going, it's just not the thing anymore. So then you have to talk about possible upgrades and what kind of upgrades. And so it gets to a point where you spend nights not really sleeping because you're trying to make the decision and you're not sure if you want to jump off. But that's a lot of being in business, well, in life in general, but in being in business, there are a lot of nights where you're just like, should I do this? And I keep going back to things I've heard from various people. Sometimes you have to take that jump in order to grow. And no, it's not a fun jump, but sometimes you just have to, put your faith out there, trust God, and say a prayer and take a leap.
Yeah. I'll never forget the feeling that I had. Like I had finally decided we need a shop. We need like a wood shop, because I was doing everything out of the garage. We were shipping out of my dining room. It was just, it had become difficult to live with the business. Like the business was taking over. You know how that feels.
That's
and we
my
finally
house.
decided we're going to have to build a shop. And my husband was still working on the farm at this time. And I'm like, well, I can't run the shop. Would he be willing to come home and run the shop? And we knew that it was like, go big or go home. We can't afford, if we started out with a real small shop, we knew we'd outgrow it immediately. So we were thinking, we need to go big. We need to build for the growth that we're expecting, to come. And that was scary to make that decision to start out. We sat down with the contractor and we're looking at how much this is going to cost. And I'm thinking, how many door hangers do I have to sell to make this worth it? And the day that they came with the bulldozer and the excavating equipment, that they were going to dig out the driveway, because we had to create a new driveway that goes around our house to the back part of the property. The day they started cutting the yard for that, I had this panic. I was like, oh, what have I done? This is irreversible. My yard will never look the same. And then they started like digging out the backyard and making this big like place. And I'm like, what have I done? It felt like a huge, this was the first time I had ever done anything that was visually a change in my property, in my home, that was the business. Because up until now, it was things that could easily be taken back. I could sell the laser, move it out of the garage. I could, turn this craft room back into a bedroom. It was the first thing that was physically altering this place that is going to be our home for the rest of our lives into something different. And it was like terrifying. And we've learned a lot. The shop is amazing. I would not take it back for anything. It has financially put a little bit of a chokehold on us at times, because again, I learned a lot of lessons. I should have gone and gotten a loan for that. We had the capital up front because we'd been saving for years and we'd kept our expenses super low for years. So we paid cash for that shop. But then once you get the shop built, what are you going to put in it? You got to buy wood. You got to buy a forklift. You got to buy a bigger laser. And then all of a sudden I was like, where's all my money? I don't have any money left. So in hindsight, I should have gone and gotten a loan and just paid month to month. That way it didn't put such a stress on me. But those are the big, I call that pulling up your big girl panties and like making those big girl decisions. I should have made different decisions, but now I know better. And I feel like every time you make another big decision like that in your business, you grow and you learn, and you just got to be willing to step out in fear and do it anyway, or faith rather than fear.
Yeah, you do. That's like, the jigsaw I found was on sale and I thought, man, this is such a great price and this is wonderful. And I paid for it. I don't owe anybody anything. My business is starting out, and then it was like, but now I got to have sawhorses because we don't have sawhorses, and I have to have wood because we don't have wood. So it's like, even at the first stage, you still have that kind of, what am I going to do? But then you make to the next stage and you reach another, what am I going to do? And so it's kind of like leveling up in games, but at the same time, it's kind of crazy because you get past that and then it's like you have that moment, but then you're like, yeah, but if you look back, and you see what happened then.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you have that initial moment, but then you also have that kind of underlying piece that you
Yeah.
kind of have to just brush off the top layer to get to that underlying piece to go, okay, I can breathe and we're going to survive.
Lauren Martin just commented, I'm feeling that. For those that don't know, Lauren, she's one of our Clubhouse members. She just bought a laser yesterday and carried it home and put it in her garage. And she sent me a picture of it. She's like, it's here. She's like, I'm so nervous. So she took a huge girl step. We're so proud of you, Lauren.
That's been one of the things we talked about in the Zoom paint party. Somebody will inevitably ask a question at one of the Zoom paint parties about who has lasers, and and so we'll get on that topic, and so they'll when I say I have one, they'll ask different questions, and Laura and I have talked a couple of times, and she's like, I'm saving up, and I want to get this one, and so. She and I have had a couple of conversations along that line. And so when it was announced, I was like, yes.
It's been on her mind for more than 6 months because she and I talked about it after last year's Southern Adoornments Live. She's like, well, what could I do with it? I'm like, what could you not do with it? Of course, for me, having now I've got like 4 laser machines, it's easy for me to say, buy it. But, if you've never bought anything like that, it's terrifying. My old business coach used to say, new level, new devil. When you reach a new level in your business, there's a new thing or a new something you're going to have to troubleshoot. And so, to be able to grow, you got to figure out what that thing is. And maybe it's buying a laser, maybe it's building a shop or whatever it is. How have those Zoom paint parties been helpful to you over the years? Because that is something we do every month in the Clubhouse. If y'all don't know, we have a Zoom paint party. The ladies get in there. Sandy has hosted some of them. Lauren has hosted some. And it's usually just once a month, but the ladies get together and they chit chat. So tell us kind of how that has helped you out.
Well, it's really cool because we can have conversations like the laser, for instance, where it's, when you're painting, you can't always answer all the questions. And so when we're all sitting there, we're all in the Zoom, we're all on the screen together. And so we get to chit chat with each other. So, I mean, we've talked about painting techniques. We've talked about the remixes that you've done. We've talked about life things. It's funny because how many teachers you find out are in there. And then you'll have teachers talk about what's going on this time. And you'll have teachers talk about retired teachers talk about how it was done when they did. And so we cover a broad spectrum of things. Of course, it all comes back to painting. And so we'll show what we're working on. It'll be like, oh, what are you working on tonight? And we'll hold up, and show. It's like show and tell.
Yeah.
And so we have those conversations, but it's not just about the painting, and it's not just about what's going on, in the world of painting or Facebook or, whatever platform we're on. It's also about what's going on with us. Like I said, with the teaching thing. Well, we've also had people who've been going through health issues, or maybe they're dealing with a situation in their life. And next thing you know, you'll have somebody go, I've got that going on. And then we sit and we talk about it, or they talk about it, and they're like, well, look, message me. And, they'll connect, once the Zoom party is over and done with. So it's been an amazing support. I don't want to say side thing because, I mean, the Zoom party is part of the Clubhouse. It's one of the things we do. But it's been that little extra that's support with techniques, because we've had people go, I don't know about painting that. And we're like, no, do it.
Well, so it's there if you need it. Not everybody uses it. Not everybody takes part in it. There's probably no more than like 20 people on those Zoom calls a lot of times, but it's there for the ones who want it and need it. I've got kittens crawling up my legs. And so it's, I think it's really helpful that, it's there if you need that extra push.
And we have a lot of different ones who come in and just listen. They never turn on their camera. They never turn on their audio. They just listen. And it's really cool just to, I've done that a few times. I've come in late when I'm not the main one kicking it off. I've come in late and I may, come in and Lauren's teaching or Marie's talking. And, I'll just sit and listen for the longest time. And then at some point I'll pop the camera on, or, I may be maybe running late and I'm actually sitting here eating while everything's going on.
I've done that too.
So I'm just listening. But I mean, even then, I mean, you can gain, it's kind of like going in the fields after in days gone by. Going in the fields after the reapers come through and you start gathering all the stuff that's left over, so you're gleaning from everybody else's knowledge. And so, you'll have somebody go, don't do this. We're going, make note.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. It covers painting, but sometimes we get into topics that, are just general life topics, and you find support and even encouragement, and sometimes you end up with a support buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are lots of our Clubhouse members who've kind of connected with support buddies like that, and they just check in on each other pretty regularly, and they connect and they talk, and it's not even necessarily in the Clubhouse. It's like private messages or text or whatever. And I love to know that is going on, because that is so enriching to women to have, or men too, I'm sure, but to have somebody that you can call up at any time and talk to or bounce things off of, a travel buddy if you're going to an event together. So I love that it is fostering those kinds of relationships.
I was just getting ready to say, and it is so funny because you see these people month after month on the Zoom call, and you're looking at their faces on these little screens. And then you go to Southern Adoornments Live and you're like, oh, I watch you all the time. Yeah. So then you get to see face to face. You actually get to hug and sit together and talk together. And so that's what happened with me. My first live event was actually virtual. It was the Dallas event. And so I was here at home. And then last year was my first in-person event. And so, I get there and lo and behold, there's 3 or 4 people going, I've seen you on Zoom calls.
Yeah. Or the ones who've done
people face to face.
Or the ones who've done tutorials, people are like almost treating them like celebrity, like, oh, I know you, like I've watched you, and then it probably feels weird to be on the receiving end of that if you're not used to somebody recognizing you without you knowing them.
Yeah. I had that happen a couple of times. They're like, oh, I've seen you on all the Zoom calls. And I'm thinking, have I seen you?
They're the ones with their cameras turned off.
It's possible. So, then you're racking your brain and what was your name again? But it is really neat because people come up to you and talk to you and you're just like, well, I know, but I've seen you, but maybe they didn't say a whole lot, or maybe they just worked the entire time they were with us. Because that's another thing. We also work on projects. I mean, we've all got our own little project going on. We've had people sitting there crocheting. We've had people sitting there cross stitching. I've even been working on like calendars and stuff before. And you've done your nails before.
Yep. I just had a nail pop off a minute ago. I'm like, I've been too rough on them this week. I was trying to pry the lid off of that spackle that I used last night on the door hanger, and I felt my nail go crack, and I'm like, oh no.
Just a little extra in the spackle.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody who's just starting out? Maybe they're thinking, I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm used to quilting and sewing. I don't know anything about painting. What would you say to that person, Sandy? Because you used to be that person.
I can't draw a stick figure still.
But you don't have to be able to draw.
But I can paint inside the lines.
That's true.
When you're watching, different ones and you're watching Tamara on Facebook and stuff, and you're watching her paint and things, it's not so much that you're not expected to come in and be the Picasso. I tell this at paint parties all the time, because I do paint parties too. And I'm like, okay, look, as far as I know, nobody in this room is named Picasso, Angelo, or Raphael, or even Ross. I don't know any Rosses. Now, one day I'm going to have somebody go, I'm Ross.
I'm Betty Ross.
I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's no pressure. There's no pressure. You're here, I hope, to find a process to enjoy. A big saying is trust the process. You say it a lot. It spreads around the Painters Clubhouse a lot. We use it on Zoom a lot. You'll see it in comments a lot. But besides trust the process, it's also enjoy the process, enjoy the
Mhm.
journey, because yes, we all started at square one. And yes, we all looked at our little whatever it was, whether it was a little heart or a canvas, and went, I'm just going to have that back there and talk to everybody for the rest of the night. And I didn't do anything.
Mhm.
And we've all been there. But I actually been teaching an art class this semester at my daughter's homeschool co-op, and one little girl constantly puts hers under the table. And I'm like, why? Why did you hide it? And she's like, I don't like it. I'm like, but you're not through with it.
Mhm.
Don't stop halfway. Keep
Mhm.
going. Finish it, because you never know what that next layer is going to do,
Yeah.
you know? And if you're starting out and you're like, I don't even want to pick up a brush. Well, start with a marker.
Yeah.
And start with mixed media pads. Start with cardstock. Start
Whatever
with
feels
cardboard.
easiest to start with. Yeah.
Cardboard. Tamara's encouraged us before, grab a piece of cardboard. Grab a piece of cardboard. You can trace out on pretty much anything. You can trace out on cardboard and, treat it like a coloring page. Color it with markers or color pencils. Start there. If this little bottle and a brush is just like too big for you, make the steps smaller, make it easier. Start smaller and work your way up. That's like me with lettering. I'm still terrified of lettering, but I've been doing some things, some classes and workshops and working on my lettering. And so I'm learning that lettering is different when you're in this realm as opposed to when you're writing a letter to somebody. So
Mhm.
I'm
Sure.
learning.
I think that is really, really good advice to kind of meet yourself where you're at, to make the steps smaller. As you said, I like that analogy. Make the steps smaller. If this feels too scary, make it smaller, make it easier. Just find a place to start, and then you can build and grow from there. I really like that.
And some people are just scared that they can't undo it. Well,
Yeah.
baby wipes are like, the ultimate thing to have
Yeah.
when painting. And so baby wipes are a big thing. But I loved when Linda, because I was watching Linda's interview, and Linda says, paint over it. And I'm like,
Yep.
there you go. That's the other one. And then, of course, even on the Zoom calls, we've said, oh, just sand it off and start over.
Yep. I've seen and heard that happen before too. There's nothing that's not salvageable most of the time. I would say it's rare that you can't salvage something. I remember when I did paint parties in person, there was a time or two where somebody threw theirs in the garbage and snuck out the door, and I found it later, and I was heartbroken. I'm like, you mean to tell me that you didn't say anything to anybody that I know of, and you just put it in the trash and walked out? I thought that person probably went to the bathroom, like I didn't know it was in the trash. So after that point, I started announcing at my parties, please don't throw it away and walk away. Don't leave upset with your door hanger, because we're here to have a good time and to leave with something we're proud of. So before you give up on it, before you throw it away, raise your hand and I will come over and help you. And we will get it to a point where you're happy with it before you leave. And so that really circumvented a lot of problems.
I have big letters on a little card that I pass out and leave at each place at paint parties. And it says, fun. We're here to have fun. This is not a home decorating class. This is not,
fine art. It's fun art.
That's right.
That used to be on the window at the local art studio that I used to go to years ago. It said, it's not fine art, it's fun art.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You've got to find the fun in it. And sometimes even I take myself too seriously at times. I know last year at Southern Adoornments Live, I was getting a little too frustrated with the carrot nose on my snowman. It just would not come out right. And Miss Pam, Miss Pam Savage, she's such a sweetheart, and she's encouraging us the whole time. And I remember getting so frustrated, and I had PC sisters on either side that were sitting there, and one of them says, I've never seen you frustrated. Yeah. And then it kind of put me in check, because I was like, yeah, I really am getting awfully frustrated over this blasted carrot nose. So sometimes you do have to walk away. Sometimes you have to take a break. Sometimes you have to go to bed, come back at it the next day. my little carrot knows when I got home, I redid him, and he lives.
Yeah, Michael would say you just need to stop and eat a Snickers and then keep going, because
There
sometimes
you
when
go.
I get angry, I don't even realize it's the hunger. It's I'm frustrated and I don't know why, and it's because I need to eat. So
And sometimes you've just stared at it way too long.
that's true. I say go to bed and come back the next morning and look at it, and you'll be a whole lot more forgiving to yourself.
I guess I learned that concept from doing data entry, especially with numbers and stuff, and putting things into number programs. You can only do it so long, and then you reach a point where you're just you've had enough, and it's time to change gears or walk away or call it a day and go have a Snickers. I love Snickers.
I think I've said something before too about how like my best work is not done after like 8 p.m. at night, and the times that I lie to myself and I say, I'll just go out there and finish packaging or shipping those orders or whatever it is, because I want to like get caught up on something. I make mistakes during that time, and I end up shipping somebody the wrong thing or mixing up somebody's labels because I'm tired. And so we don't necessarily do our best work during those hours when we're tired and
there was a time management thing that I was part of, a little session or something, and they had you lay out, think about your day and think about the times when you are well focused, and that's the times you need to plug in these particular tasks.
Mine is 10 a.m. to about 3 p.m., maybe even 2 p.m. if I've had a good lunch. Depends on. But yeah, after like 2, 3 p.m., I am checked out. I need a nap, or I need to like just turn my brain off for a bit. But before like 9:30 in the morning, don't even ask me to do anything that requires brain energy. Especially not late at night either. So yeah, 10 to 2 to 3, those 4 to 5 hours are about my zone of genius.
I can do my repetitive projects later because it doesn't require much thought. So, if you're base coating something, or if you're packing, putting things that's the same thing over, it's repetitive. It doesn't require the thought of, is this the right shipping label, or is this the right shade? I can do those things pretty late at night, but I understand you need those main hours where you can actually make the right connections. Otherwise you're backtracking. I've done that more than once.
Well, one final question, and then I'll let you go. I've really enjoyed getting to catch up with you. Last question is, what do you like? What's next? What's next for you? Like, what are you working toward?
Oh, wow.
Is it hand lettering, or is there something bigger? I know you talked about like business taking over your home. Are you going to be building anything, doing anything?
Well, and that was one thing when you were talking about the fear of building a shop. I said, I started to say, one thing about building a shop and taking that step is you better make sure you're in a place where you want to be for a while, because it's not like you're going to pick up shop and move all of that in a couple of days. So where we are, we're maxed out space wise. There's no room for a shop. I guess it's kind of twofold. We want to get to a bigger house, because basically I live in my business.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how that sort of overtakes your living space real quickly. But, and I think our shut-in time kind of helped with that, because it was like everything was at home. And so everything just kind of grew at home. But a bigger space would be nice. I really want to refine and really get a good variety in my vendor booth in the vendor mall, and see that one really flourish. Something I've wanted for several years now is a subscription box of some sort. Not sure. I have ideas. I've had ideas. I've actually jumped off into a couple, and I think I got 2 for my successful subscription box, was 2 subscribers. So, but that's a timing thing. And subscription boxes are one of those things where, well, business in general, it's not just subscription boxes. When you find yourself not where you want to be, then sometimes you have to back up, look at the situation, go at it again, or sometimes you have to take a different street and maybe come back to that later. And that's one of those things that, Billy, my husband, and I have talked about. We don't feel like the ideas I had were bad. It's just where we were at that time. They did not have a good jump off platform. And so there may be one that we revisit later on, but I do have one that I really want to start off with. I'd love to have the launch in July, but I don't know.
Is it scary putting that out there like that?
That's one of those things that, that's one of those kind of gut wrenching feelings. It's like, oh my goodness.
Well, I will say July is how many months away? May, June, July. You've almost got 90 days. And that is actually the recommended amount of time to build an audience before you launch something. So start now.
I've been under Sarah for a while. So Sarah is the
you already know I'm preaching to the choir.
She's the subscription box go-to. So I've been a part of her trainings for not as long as Painters Clubhouse, but it wasn't far afterwards, because I really did want a subscription box. But it like I said, it just hasn't. I just haven't found that right click, and so we're working on that. So that's one thing. So I guess those would be my main goals, is to get it to where I have a place where my house and my business have their own spaces to live, and to see my booth, grow and be what I would consider a good success. And then to have a box that I have people, going, yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah. Well, I am so proud of how your accomplishments so far and how you've grown, and just, I see the sky's the limit for you. I feel like you're one of those people who just puts their mind to it, and you're going to do it one way or the other. If you have to take another street, that's what you have to do, but you'll get there.
Well, I hope so. And I appreciate you and all your many, many talents, not just the talent of painting, but also when I've asked you things about business, you've encouraged me and you've challenged me. And I remember I was on a Zoom with you one time, and you asked me how much I was selling my door hangers for, and I was still at that beginner price of $25.
And I told you and say you needed to go up.
So you have given me that little poke push that wasn't a shove, but it was just that little poke. And so I appreciate you greatly, and I love my PC family. The encouragement, the support, the laughs we've had, and the great time, and I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go backwards. So all I can see is going forwards, because even in the clubhouse, there's still things I don't know how to do. There's still things I need to improve on. You were talking about having some specific things each quarter, and I'm excited about that, because I'm like, I can always improve on my paint parties. I do paint parties. I can always improve on my craft shows. I do those as well. So all that's exciting to me. So I'm like, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that was the whole intention behind adding those little things in. Is I know members like you who've been in for 3-4 years are craving that kind of stuff. It's like they still need the painting instruction, but they need that extra little push or that something for what's next for them. So that's why I've been asking that question to a lot of these people that I interview, is I want to know what's next so I can help you prepare for it. So I'm excited too.
And I appreciate that greatly.
Well, thank you for hopping on and spending a few minutes with me today, Sandy. It's been a pleasure getting to talk to you, and I can't wait to see you at Southern Adoornments Live in November.
I will be there.
It's going to be a blast. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.